The movie opens with a woman lying still on white fur on the ground in a room, and moments later an ornate clock falls to the ground covered in blood close to the woman. The movie then cuts back to 3 months earlier. Ron tries to seduce his wife Becca into bedroom exercise, but Becca turns him down with no specific reason as to why. Ron, disappointed, quietly lays back down on his side of the bed, turning his back to his wife. Next morning, Ron is in the kitchen eating some vegetables when Becca walks in. Becca tries to open a shelf and the hang has come off. Ron quickly runs to help her. Becca tries to tell him off so that he won't re-injure his back, since he is just recovering from a back injury which causes him to be unemployed, and leaves Becca in charge of supporting the household with her nursing job. Ron tries to persuade Becca to stop worrying about his injury and concentrate on getting pregnant while assuring her that everything is going to work out fine. Becca then takes her fertility medication and Ron tries seducing her again, but she refuses, claiming she has to go work. Becca tries to explain that the infertility problem might not be from her end, and Ron agrees to go test himself. Becca reminds him that he once said that, and Ron promises to do it this time. After that, Ron reminds Becca that they will be going to Max and Mindy's the following day. Max and Mindy are the complete opposite ends of the spectrum. They both live in a large mansion and are doing very well for themselves. Ron and Becca are at the house and they are all sitting by the pool having fun. They discuss various things and Max even volunteers to help Ron if he would not mind, but Ron turns him down. Mindy then asks Ron and Becca about their bedroom life, which leads to Max telling Ron and Becca that he and Mindy decided to leave their marriage open. Max explains that both and Mindy are free to do anything they want, but they have to keep to the two important laid down rules: 1, no extracurricular activities without the other person, and to put rubbers on Max and Minnie then advise Ron and Becca to do the same. On the way home, Ron and Becca are intrigued about the idea of an open marriage. In fact, just the thought of it sends them into an animalistic frenzy. They start romancing right there in the car, and once they get home they immediately get to rough exercise. Next morning, Ron and Becca ruminate on the idea of opening their marriage. Ron says it is all up to Becca, and Becca quickly denotes that he is only saying that in order to blame her if it does not work out at work. Becca tells her cute gay coworker Dylan about the events of the previous day. Dylan then encourages her to give the open marriage a trial, convincing her that it might help strengthen their relationship. Dylan uses his own marriage to Gary as an example, and he states that they are both loving and committed to each. Nevertheless, Dylan then advises Becca to have a one-on-one conversation with Mindy and make sure they both are on the same page before getting into it. Becca then invites Mindy to lunch and they both discuss long and hard on the topic. Mindy informs Becca that Max and herself are about to get a divorce when Max brings up the idea, and since they have initiated it, it has helped them become closer than they have ever been. Mindy tries to convince Becca to give the open marriage a trial. Another visit to Max and Mindy's. Ron and Max are both grilling, drinking beer and discussing. Ron informs Max that his fertility test came back and the doctor said he only has 1% chance of having children. Max asks if he has informed Becca, but he replies negatively. Max tries to convince him to tell Becca, but Ron says he will tell her when he gets the construction job he applied for, so that Becca will know that he has accomplished in one area of his life. Max persuades Ron to give the open marriage idea a go. Ron asks Max if he has thought about what it might do to their friendship, and Max assures him that there would be no issues as long as they are all on the same page. While this is going on, the women watch the men from their pool chairs. Eventually a date is set. On the set date, Mindy dresses ridiculously sexy. Becca gets up from beside Ron to appreciate a painting on the wall. Max stands up from beside Mindy and walks up to Becca while Mindy moves closer to Ron. Mindy starts rubbing Ron's thighs and crotch before eventually kissing him. Max also starts kissing Becca. Then one thing leads to another and the shared bedroom activities ensue, all set to a baby shark playing in the background. Next morning, Becca sits in the bath of reminiscing. Ron comes in and asks her about the previous night. They both seem to enjoy the game of Twister with a different person. Ron then gets in the bath too with Becca and they both play patty cake again. Another date is picked and they all meet in a back alley to go to an SN club where the safe word is suspenders. A dominatrix by the name Valenia shows them around after telling them the rules of the game. After a while they go into a small room and all four get down to business. After doing the nasty, Ron and Mindy slept off on the couch while Max and Becca had to go into the inner room and use the bed. Ron wakes up and starts looking around for them. He and Mindy later find them in the inner room. Ron gets annoyed because he believes they have broken the rule by not staying in the place, but Max explains that they both were not comfortable on the chair, which is why they used the bed. Ron then advises that they get dressed and leave. Next morning at their house, Ron and Becca have an argument as to why she went with Max to someplace else, and at the end of The discussion. Ron tells Becca that they need to put a stop to the open marriage. Later that night, Becca calls Ron from work to inform him that she would be working double shift so as to enable Dylan to go for a Lady Gaga show with his husband Ron, who is watching a game and eating pizza, agrees to let Becca work the shift. Minutes later, Ron receives a message from the club they went to the other day. He then decides to go but promises himself that he is only going to watch a participate. Getting there, Valvia welcomes him as usual. Ron is standing at the bar when Angelique walks up to him and starts kissing him. Ron kisses her back and the romance begins, but before she could take off his belt, Ron comes to his senses and barges out of the club and straight home to bed. Some days later, Ron and Becca are out jogging in the woods. Along the way, Ron stops jogging and informs Becca that he has a confession to make. Ron admits to Becca that he went to the fertility clinic and got tested. He informs her that he is the reason she cannot get pregnant because the doctor said he has just % chance of getting her pregnant. Becca gets so angry and lashes Ron for letting her take the fertility supplements every morning like the problem is from her, and angrily walks away. Ron begs for forgiveness, but Becca asks for the car key and drives home, leaving Ron to jog all the way home. Getting home, Ron did not meet Becca at home. He looked around the house and did not find her, but he found a pregnancy test kit in the trash and it happened to be positive. Becca comes back late at night. She notices a black expensive car parked across the street and the car leaves immediately. When Becca looks towards its location, Becca then goes in and Ron asks to talk but she refuses and goes to bed. Next morning, Becca is in the kitchen washing plates. When Ron gets breakfast, Becca asks him if he notices the black car she saw previously, because she has seen the car twice since the night they went to the club. Ron convinces her that it is nothing. While talking, the doorbell rings. Ron goes to answer the door and comes back with a flower bouquet with a note which inscribes to Becca, "My one and only." Becca says it is probably from Dylan. When Ron asks where the flower comes from, later in the day, Ron and Max go to the gym for a workout session. Ron then tells Max about the time he went to the club alone and how he feels about the open marriage. Few days later, Becca tells Ron that she will be working late as usual. Later on, Ron calls the hospital to check up on his wife. Dylan picks up and informs him that Becca left the hospital 3 hours ago, and in the course of their conversation, Ron learns that it was not Dylan that sent the flowers to Becca. Ron becomes confused. Becca actually goes to the club and meets up with Max. Becca tells Max that she wants to put an end to the affair, indicating that it is not the first time. Becca informed Max that she is pregnant and cannot continue with him. She then pleads with Max to stop sending her flowers, which Max denies that he did. Days later, Mindy hosts her birthday party. It so happens that Becca and Mindy are putting on the exact same clothes. Max is of the opinion that Mindy is still into having sex with Ron, but Becca convinces him that Ron has moved on and is starting his own construction business. Days later, another gift arrives at their doorstep. It is a baby carriage with a creepy baby doll. It then occurs to Ron and Becca that someone is definitely spying on them. During a dinner with Max and Mindy, photos of Ron with Angelique are released. Thereafter, that of Max and Becca are also released. These events lead to Ron getting forced from his place of work, and also Max and Mindy cutting off their relationship with Becca and Ron. Becca goes to collect paternity test results because she was not sure if the pregnancy belongs to Ron or Max. Becca gets the result but does not open it, then heads home. Becca gets home and finds Ron in his underwear tied to the bed. Mind as they holding Ron at gunpoint. Mindy forces Becca to put on identical linger to hers and forces Max to get in his birthday suit. Turns out Mindy is the one that has been spying on all of them, so she wants to get revenge. Mindy is obsessed with Becca and later reveals that she is Becca's secret admirer. Mindy wants to become Becca. Becca tries to play along with Mindy and tells Mindy that she loves her too. Becca tries to convince Mindy to let them have another four-way and Mindy agrees. As Mindy kisses Ron, Max gives Becca the signal to use the clock and Becca grabs the ornate clock and hits Mindy on the head, which leads to Mindy's death. The police come around and they found a way to explain the situation. Becca cries in her husband's arms, then she opens the paternity test and it shows that Ron is the father of her unborn child. Turns out his 1% pollen count swam to where it counts. They are both very happy and share a passionate kiss. Well, that ending was quite twisted, came out of left field. What did you guys think of this one? Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like, it really helps the channel.